What is going on, YouTube family? My name's Little Peak, and today will be the first episode of Learning World Warships Legends. This will be the first episode in a long series where we go through the different maps. And you know, I've actually recorded this 4 times. I'm here to tell you, before we even do the maps, the first episode has to be the fundamentals. Because by and large, division, solo, it doesn't matter what tier, what you're playing, whatever. The fundamentals is key. If you don't understand the fundamentals, then nothing I'm about to tell you will matter whatsoever in the video series. But if you can understand the fundamentals, then you will be a better player. By and large, you'll be a better player. You will support your team more. You will make plays for your team, which will end up having you win more games. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, and the fundamentals have a lot in them. They're very simple, but there's a lot in them. And we're going to dive into the details of the fundamentals for the first episode. So, episode 2, we're going to go through Ring, Straight, New Dawn. Let's go to the fundamentals. Bam. That's it. Right there. That's it. And I'm sure the other super unicums would agree with me. Those are the fundamentals. I've been racking my brain for days about this. Really, like 2 weeks since I even made this, and I've been thinking about it. I can't think of anything to add to that. I mean, number 1, number 2, and number 3. I don't know what else there would be. This is it. The only difference between the average potato and the super unicum is this. That's it. So we're going to take a deep dive into 1, 2, and 3 and try and teach you what these fundamentals are, what to look for, where to go, where to be, everything. So off the rip, the most important thing is situational awareness. It just is. Knowing the location of the friendlies to where the enemies should be or are if they're spotted is huge. It's huge. I mean, it is like the number one thing. If you're a destroyer player and you go get in an engagement and you're 15 kilometers away from the firepower that's supporting you, I gotta tell you, you're kind of on your own. Once you get so long in flight time, people don't want to take those shots. I don't want to take those shots because I know that I'm not going to do anything. Not really. So knowing the position of your teammates relative to the enemy, you know, that goes a long ways in keeping you alive, keeping your teammates alive. And this goes for both solo and divisions. You know, knowing who can shoot you from where, that trickles into positioning. So at the start of a match, 9v9, putting yourself in a position where you can support the cap, support the destroyer. See, this is where it's all situational. If you don't have a destroyer pushing the cap, then you know more than likely the enemy DD is going to go in there. If not, then great. But you're still going to want to position yourself to where you can do the most damage and take the least amount of damage. That's what this whole game is. Taking damage, giving damage. Period. So if you can position yourself correctly where you can fire from behind cover and stay dark, by and large, you're going to be doing better off. You know, knowing how to mitigate damage and dish out damage is one of the few key things I look at when I'm trying to determine how good is this player. You know, if I hand you a ship, tier 7, tier 6, whatever, to tier 5, and I give it to you at half health, and there's 3 guys shooting at you, the average player would probably live, let's say, a minute. Well, a really good player would stretch that out quite a bit farther than 1 minute. They would turn, slow down, speed up. They would mitigate incoming fire, angle. They would make you miss more than the average player. They would stay alive the longest that they could. They would dish out the maximum amount of damage they could. RNG giveth, RNG taketh away. We all know this. But by and large, the good player is going to be alive longer. He's going to do more damage to those ships. And maybe even kill them all. You don't know, depending on what damage they're at or whatever. So, situational awareness, positioning, very important. Knowing who can crossfire you, which comes back to situational awareness. Let's say you're sitting over here on a cap. You're guarding a cap. But to guard this cap, you have to sit broadside to the middle and the other cap. Okay? Well, if there's battleships back there, and they're going to the far cap, they're going to the opposite cap from you, and they're dark, but you're sitting broadside and you're spotted. If your situational awareness is on point, right, and you're staring at that minimap, which is what I preach, stare at that minimap, and those battleships pop up, instead of sitting there waiting for an incoming salvo, you could turn quickly and you could look at that ship and you could see if there are shells in the air coming for you. And they have a, 8, 9, 10 second flight time. Well, you can throw on the gas if you see shells coming for you, right? Full speed ahead. And by the time those shells hit, they hit you in the aft section of the ship instead of the flat broadside. You could turn in and pull forward, and you can mitigate what would be, quarter of your health, half your health. Maybe they got really lucky, 3/4, or even maybe Dev struck you. This more or less goes for cruisers, but battleships, 100%. You can save that HP on your ship. That keeps you in the fight longer at the end of the game. The third one is selective fire. Now, selective fire is easier in divisions, but it's not impossible solo. It all comes back to situational awareness. It truly, truly does. If you have situational awareness and you see your DD going for the cap, let's say it's a perfect scenario. There's 3 caps, there's 3 enemy destroyers. More than likely, there's a destroyer on your side. Not always, but just more than likely, right? Well, you're a battleship with a 30-second reload. You're 10 seconds out from a reload. Let's say you're fully reloaded and you've got somebody to shoot at across the map. Well, a good player in that moment knows not to pull the trigger. Not to pull the trigger, period, right there. Don't pull the trigger. Because you know that your friendly destroyer is very likely going to run smack dab into the other destroyer. Right there. This applies for slow turret traverse, heavy cruisers, definitely battleships. Battleships are so key in eliminating destroyers. I don't care if you have AP loaded or HE loaded or whatever. Just hit them with a 15 or 16 inch shell. It takes so much of their HP away. I always shoot AP. I shoot AP at destroyers all day. I would even argue AP does more damage. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. HE in-caps modules, but AP has the chance of arming. Not if they're broadside, but if they start to turn and you kind of go at them with like a 45-degree angle or a little bit more, there's a chance your shells arm, which you get more penetration. The shell actually arms in the destroyer. And if that's the case, then you're going to hit them pretty hard. So, selective fire, very key. A battleship has the potential to take over half the HP from a destroyer in one shot. Instead of your DD and their DD going back and forth and trading, blah, 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 blah. Battleship says, I don't care what angle you're at, AP, boom, on the way, smack, half of HP's gone right there, guaranteed your destroyer should win that fight, especially if he has a cruiser to back him up. it's pretty much game, set, match for that guy. And even if your cruiser has radar and he's in radar range, then that guy's definitely dead. Because by this point, your destroyer's stopped and smoked up, and they're firing their guns, and you've already taken half the HP from the destroyer away. So very important as a battleship role. Very important. So these are the fundamentals. These are the only things that separate a good player from a bad player, or an average player, whatever you want to call them. These are the only things that separate a super unicum from a 50% win rate guy who just plays casually with his friends. If you want to get better at the game, understand the fundamentals. And you could dive more into that, you know, situational awareness, you know, understanding who you're fighting, the actual shells of the ships that you're fighting, torp ranges, torp reloads of destroyers. That comes in time, just playing the game for a really long time. I've got 13,200 battles under my belt. I've played for a long time, so I've got a pretty good idea of just about every ship in the game, what it's capable of, and, you know, situational awareness. Battleship versus IGN torpedo boat. You know, you're probably never going to spot him, especially if he's a good player, but maybe you can get him to slip up. But you know, IGN, Fubuki, Akazuki, roughly 1 minute reloads, maybe sub 1 minute, 55 seconds. So you know about every 55 seconds, 9 torpedoes could be coming at you. So understanding little things like that, that will help propel you a little bit farther on top of the fundamentals. By and large, you understand these, it'll translate to every game you play going forward. These will help you more than anything else. Any tier list of ships or any kind of map positioning guide or anything like that. Understand this, full depth and detail, and you will be a better player. Plain and simple. No other way to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Comment down below how you think I should do these upcoming videos and things like that. Let me know what you think about this. I think it's pretty good. It's colorful anyways. Anyways, I'm out of here, gentlemen. Peace!